We are on lesson 3 of the beginner's crochet course. Let's jump in. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Donna. That is Twinkle. This is my Wonderland, and if you are new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. It is so lovely to have you here. So we are on week 3 of the beginner's crochet course, and today we are going to learn single crochet. And just by the previous 2 lessons and today's lesson, you will be able to start making things. So this is a really exciting lesson. I am going to be sharing with you my temperature blanket and explaining that next week, because this is something that you might want to join in on. So I'm sharing it on shorts if you haven't seen the progress so far, but I'll be going into a little bit more depth, explaining what I'm doing, explaining my colours, how they're split up, the technique that I'm using to make my blanket, which is a little bit different to some other people. You can do it however you like, but you will be able to do it after today. You would be able to join in on that if it is something you want to do. Then we will go back to doing some more stitches, different stitches, and I'll teach you some other things as well. But today we're going to concentrate on the single crochet. It has been absolutely freezing this week, and I have not been able to avoid putting the heating on. I've actually been wearing fingerless gloves a lot recently, just to help me with my typing. So today I am glove free, just so that you can see what I'm doing better, but I'm still in my hoodies because it's just too cold otherwise. So today we're going to do a single crochet, and if you watched last week's, I said that it'd be really good if you had a chain to start with or a magic loop to start with, and I'm going to show you both today. So we're going to do single crochet into a chain where we're going to be working backwards and forwards, and I'll show you how to do join in the round and how to start doing your single crochets in the round. So let's get going. Okay, so first of all, I want us to learn how to join in the round on the magic loop, just because I want us to be able to finish off this circle, as it were, so that you know where you're going. Now I'm using my 5mm hook this week, just because my 4mm is downstairs with my temperature blanket. So that's why it's a different colour. Doesn't make any difference what size hook you are using while we are practicing. So this just makes the stitches slightly bigger than the ones that you've been seeing. So I have done 8 stitches in the round like I showed you last week, and we are back to this. We've pulled the circles tight so there's no gap in the middle. I used the double loop method to create this circle. What you are going to do, and this works the same whether you've done the single circle or sort of the double loop, whether you've just gone and started that way or whether you've done it twice. So if you wanted to do a spiral, you wouldn't actually do what we're about to do. You would just start doing your stitches into this stitch. So we've got these chevrons that I've been talking about. These are your stitches, and this here, this line here, this V, this is your first stitch that you did. So if you were going to do a spiral, so think about a shell of a snail, you would just go into this stitch and start doing whatever stitch it is that you want, and you wouldn't know where the beginning of your circle is. You would just keep going round and round and round. But if you want to create a circle rather than a spiral, what you would do is do a slip stitch into this first stitch. So rather than doing whatever pattern it is you're doing, you would do a slip stitch, which is where you put the hook through the stitch, both sides of the stitch, you yarn over the hook, you pull that loop through, and then all you do is pull that loop through the loop that you already had on your hook. Now we're what is called joined in the round. So now what you would do is yarn over, pull through one to lift yourself to the height of the row you're going to work in. This depends on what stitch you're doing. If you are doing double crochet, then you might, or treble crochet, you might want to lift it 2 chains and create a 2 chain so that it is the right height for the stitch that you're working in. But because we're going to be doing single crochet, raising it 1 chain is enough. So then you would work 1 chain. So you would then go through the next double V, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now what you would need to do at this point is, so that you don't lose the beginning, because it does look like it's going round in a circle, a spiral, is grab a stitch marker and put your stitch marker through that V that you've just created with that first stitch, and then you will know when you get back round to it that that is the one you want to slip stitch into. You can obviously count all your stitches around, but do any of us want to continually do that? I don't know. So we have the stitch marker, so we know where the first stitch is. Now, because we are making a circle, if we just go round and put 1 stitch in every stitch that we've got, we will start to make a tube, as it were. And if we want it to lay flat, it's not going to do that if we just put 1 stitch into each, because we're getting slightly bigger as we go out. So you're going to want to put in your round, which we started with 8 stitches, you're going to want to put 2 stitches into every stitch. So what we will need to do is, where we've just done a stitch, we're going to go back into that same hole, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Then we're going to go in the next hole, next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, into that same hole, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're going to end up with 16 stitches when we finish this round. So into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2. Let me get my yarn pulled out a bit. Next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, same stitch, next stitch, same stitch, and we are just going through those V's. So where that V is, we are going under both those loops, yarning over, pulling up a loop, pull through, back into that same stitch, pull through, into the next stitch, pull through, same stitch, pull through, and then we are back to the beginning, because the next one is that you can see that we've got a V here. That's not a stitch, that is the chain that we did. So where you've got your stitch marker, the V before that is going to be your chain that you did to lift it to the height of the row. So what you will do is, now you've got your 16, is you're going to go into the stitch where you got your stitch marker, yarn over, pull through and slip stitch, and then chain 1. And that brings you up to the height of the row, and now you have 16 stitches in the round. So what you can do then is look up some patterns, and we will do one another day. This is just what I want you to practice first, just to get that base circle done. You would do different stitches, so you would do 1, then 2 in the same, 1, then 2 in the same, 1, then 2 in the same, until you've got it the size that you want it, just so that you are making a flat circle. So that is how we do single crochet into the round, working in circles. Like I said, if you don't want to work in circles, you can do a spiral where you don't do the slip stitch and you just start your single crochet into that first stitch. So that is working in the round. Then I have done a chain here. What I'm going to do to show you in here better is I'm actually going to use a different colour yarn, so you can see a little bit more clearly what it is that I am doing. So let me just unravel some of this. This is actually the yarn that I'm using for my temperature blanket. So Okay, so I have done a chain of 10 stitches here, and by now you should have a nice little practice of having done that. I'm not going to teach you how to change colour today because that is not the purpose of the lesson, so kind of ignore me doing what I'm doing here, just to get it ready for you guys. Okay, so what you will normally do is you will do your stitches, then just as we had that stitch in the round where we had that chain that forms kind of the wall that brings the stitches up to the height of the row you're working on, you want to do the same with your lines. So normally what you will find is your pattern will tell you to do 21 chains plus 1, and that 1 is the one that you're not going to work into. That's going to be your chain to lift it to the height of the next row. So we're going to pretend that that's what this blue is here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we've got the 11 there. So I've got 11 stitches plus the one that is on the loop on my hook there. But this first brown one is actually going to be the height of the row. So when you're doing your foundation row, you have two options, and I actually like the second option best. I'm going to show you both ways because I want to show you the single crochet again, the way it would work when you're working it in straight lines. So we've got the chevrons, which is what we're always talking about, always looking for. That is what you know is the stitch. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your hook, and just like we did in the circle, you're going to put it under both of those pieces of yarn that make up that chevron. So you can see that. So there should be one piece of yarn going across the back of your hook and 2 going across the top of your hook, plus the loop that you already had on. And you need to just be careful when you're doing it because it can be fiddly in this foundation row. It becomes a lot easier once you've done the foundation row, but when you're doing the foundation row, it's just a little bit more difficult. So let me get my working yarn. Okay, so then you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through those 2. Then you're going to yarn over again and you're going to pull through 2. So there is no sort of easy way to do it. I tend to keep the tail, and obviously it would only be this one tail usually. I'm just using a different colour to help you see the difference. But I just keep the tail between my back 2 fingers on my right hand there and keep everything else in the left. And you just got to fiddle with it this first row. So under both and leaving that one at the back. So like I say, it's a little bit fiddly on your first row, just because you've got to get that gap right. Pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So again, through both sides of the stitch, making sure that you have the 2 stitch on the front and the 1 on the back. Yarn over, pull it through those 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you're just going to work across the line like that. So, and this is how you would work single crochet for every row going forward. That you would go under both stitches, and when I get to the end of this row I will show you how that will look. Just got to make sure that you are getting both sides, leaving that one underneath. Once you've got this row done, it becomes easier to do this. Okay. And it also depends on your tension as well. So a looser tension will make it easier to get into those spaces. But a looser tension means that you will likely have a more holy project. So it really depends on the look that you're going for and the tension that you sort of naturally do, because if you want something to be the same way as a pattern, you might find that because of your tension you have to change your hook so that you can get the same look. You might have to do it slightly differently, which is what I tend to find. And then on this last one, it kind of looks a little bit like a mess, but if you see the strand that is going into this stitch, that's the back loop, so it goes underneath. So these two here, there is your chevron. So just make sure that you're getting the right strands through, over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. So that is your foundation row completed. Then what you would do is, because we're doing single crochet, you just want to raise it up one. So you're going to chain one, yarn over, pull through. Then you're going to turn your work. And again, that first chain, that first chevron, you don't work that. That is going to be the side of your work. You're going to go into the next one, so into that next V, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, and then you're just going to go along and repeat that. And as you can see, it's much easier to get through once you've done the foundation chain. So I think that I am going to leave you with that for today. We'll do our practice 5 minutes so that you can continue to practice, and you can carry on. However, I would prefer it for this week if you would undo your work, do another chain of 10 and do that foundation row again, rather than continuing to work. You can continue to work and you will start to create something. You could do a little, I don't know, coaster for your tea, she says, as she remembers that she's got tea to drink. 10 centimetres, depending on the size of your cup, would work quite well. Excuse the mess of my cup. As a coaster, so you could go backwards and forwards and make it a square. But because there can be issues with making sure that you got your last stitch and making sure the sides are straight and not dropping stitches, what I would like you to do this week is just focus on making that foundation row. So that is what we're going to do in our practice. I will switch between doing this. I will do two minutes of doing this one, and then I will go back to the circle and show you that. So you can work on both of those this week and just get that foundation row done. So let's go into the practice. So don't forget, you can work on whichever one you want. You do not have to do both. You can just practice one. I've done both because they are both great ways of starting crochet. Your granny squares are started, excuse my hair, your granny work squares are started in the circle, and your dishcloths, blankets, whatever, can be started in rows. There are so many different patterns that you can use, and they both start off this same way, so it can be a little overwhelming to do both. So I would say, now that you have had a go at doing starting both off with the chain and the circle, choose one that you want to focus on and do that for the remainder. I will be going back to working in I have a friend. I'm going to come up. Probably not. So do one or the other, and you can always come back to these videos and pick up the other one and give it a go. So whilst I am doing the beginner lessons, I'm going to show you how to do each of the stitches in both of these methods, so the straight line and the circle, just so that whichever one you want to decide to do, you can do it. But you don't have to do both, you don't have to practice both. I would say do this practice today, do the foundation chain, do the circle, and see which one you want to carry on learning with going forward from this point. Next week we're going to have a little bit of a break from the lessons, as I'm going to show you my crochet blanket and how you can get started with that with the straight line method. So come back next week to see this, how that all got set up and everything to do with my crochet blanket, so you can decide whether you want to join in. You don't have to do a full blanket. You could make a dishcloth, you could make a scarf, it could be anything that is straight lines. So you know, don't feel overwhelmed at the word blanket. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. You can make a decision whether you want to do the same or whether you want to do something smaller, whether you don't want to do any of that, you just want to carry on the lessons. But I thought, now that you have your foundation chain and your single crochet, you can actually start to make something. And I think it is really cool when you learn a new skill, when you can actually see something happening. So you can start this little crochet project, whether it be a dishcloth, a blanket, a pillowcase, whatever it is. You can start that next week with me, and then we'll go back to the lessons, we'll go back to learning some different stitches. But this is your basics. You now can make something with your crochet just from these 3 lessons. So yeah, I'm really excited about what you'll be able to do with these going forward. The week after next, when we come back, I'm going to do a lesson basically on how you would maintain a square and making sure that your sides stay complete, and what you can do to just help yourself along with that. So we will do that when we come back. So if you're doing the circle method, that one's probably one you can miss, but if you're going to do the lines, then do come for that one. And then I will probably do a circle one the next time, showing you how you can make the circle bigger and bigger without having it close up and stay flat. So come back next week for the temperature blanket update, and then join me again the following week for more lessons in crochet. So that is it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for watching and joining in with me. If you are new and this is your first video, there is a playlist of these lessons up here that you can go to, so you can go back to lesson 1. If you enjoyed this video, please pop a heart below. Pop a red heart if you are new, so I know to say a special hello and thank you to you. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. Please share this channel with somebody you think might enjoy it. If somebody else is trying to learn to crochet, they might find these lessons useful, and I hope I will see you again in another video very soon. Bye for now.